Hey, Fighter Night Warriors! Follow me along on my top-to-toe mobility. I have accumulated my whole body's need for stretch to the end of the day. And today, if you hear it, there's super rainy outside, so I feel like I'm back in Sweden. And I remember how I felt when it was always dark and gloomy all the time, and I just wanted to come to America, to California, where the sun is shining. I didn't want to go on the beach, but I wanted to be where you can actually see there's more than just depressive darkness. That's the mentality coming from the vodka belt, guys. There's a reason why we drink every weekend in Sweden, why there's so much of darkness and depression. And I know over here we hear that everyone is happy-go-lucky in Finland and Sweden, but honestly, that's not the way I came from. Why do you think I left everything to come here? Because the mindset or mentality in Sweden was not what I belonged to. Because, listen, when we come to school, when I came to school, we were told that we owe the state $100,000, like $1 million, just because we come to life, and that is on our onus, our responsibility. And I remember how I felt so violated. I felt like I can't understand. I really, like a little kid, like, why? How could I come here? So I know about, expectations, and then be told that you can do this, you can do that. And then who are you to trust? In my life, I just make myself the voice I follow. I don't follow a voice or a leader or any institution. I do my own thing, and I also know that I have no guarantees of success. I have absolutely no guarantee that I'm going to do it better than following someone else. Most likely, we're going to transfer into the salon. Most likely, I would have less of a way of winning or getting where I want to be, because I wouldn't pick up on what other people have already done. So, for instance, it would be in my interest to understand that if I intend to have a car that I'm going to drive, it would be foolish for me to kind of try to reinvent the car so I could be the inventor, so I could have a car that was my brand. Now I have a car to ride. And most likely I would be like everyone else. I wouldn't be the genius who came out with a car. I would still lose my whole life on a potential and not doing anything of it, because I just didn't wake up and realize my life would be over before there's a guarantee of proven results, scientifically proven and studied, and now we know that is the way we do it. I did my calves, and now I'm gonna have to work through my upper body, so you know what I do in a routine. So I start with my adductors. Alright, so the whole thing that we talked about today in FG8 was building muscle, how to do it, and how things change. So I am extremely excited because I am now in the era of my life, in my bodybuilding life, where I have trained for 25 years, consistently, non-stop, and learned all that through the time. And I'm still in the game, which means it's really, really interesting now. Because the way we train, decade 3, is kind of not that common. Because most people give up or stop or find other things to do that are more entertaining. Because if you keep on training the same way and you're just more chronically pain, because that's part of life, it becomes less and less fun and more sour, and then why do you keep going, right? So that's how most people just quit on it. It's not fun to be in pain and then noticing that everything you used to love is just not fun anymore because of the pain. And no, it's not crybaby, it's just you can't keep going. And I have a high pain threshold, but I know there's a difference. So, for instance, if I were to start a challenge now, being a competitor or a contender, I wouldn't be able to maximize my muscle building ability based on traditional that has been put into system, that is based on this is the classic way to build muscle and increase strength. It's based on knowing rep ranges, muscle fibers, time it can last the muscle fibers under work before the fatigue, ways of loading, tempo. All those things have been studied into programs work, of course, because everything that loads your body will build muscle. Just like I know you think no cardio can build muscle, but that's not true. If you are inactive and start doing bike, you're gonna get muscle activation, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to move the joint. So it's just the thing that intense training like weight training is most effective at building more muscle, because you're loading your body with extra weight, which means it's a natural weight training session. So if you understand that, then you see that the whole main principle to build muscle is this. If you can't lift it, keep on trying until you can. And when you can lift it, now keep on doing reps until they're completed reps for your program. And then do the same thing but add a heavier weight. Now you're going to repeat the same sequence of working towards making you able to lift all the reps. And when you have, now repeat the sequence and increase the weight. Now you have the same move, and now you're gonna try to lift it the same way for all the reps, and if you make it, you didn't fail. Now you have to train harder and heavier, increase the weight, go for all the reps, and if you don't make it to all the reps and you struggle on the last one, good job, because that means you're actually training to gain. Now there's a problem here, because most people forget that failure is necessity to gain. That you can't win unless you get used to being weaker than you want to be. If you can't handle being weaker than you want to be, you miss the whole point of having anything to build, because you're already built. If you were suddenly, you could just, you have everything, you've been doing everything, you can lift everything you want, you can just perform. That would be the nightmare, because it would mean that you have nothing, no potential at all, because you're already all that. You can't move or grow more. You're already maximized. Unfortunately, this is the way most people behave. They think that, well, I've trained so long, so I can't do anything more, so I just maintain. Maintaining isn't the thing. And also, most people don't even maintain because they get fat too. So they're maintaining the muscle, but it's never seen. It's under the fluff. You will not get lean by simply changing the way you train unless the diet also goes with it. Because training is just a way to shape and strengthen the body, but it's not the thing that makes it look like you're strong. That's nutrition and paying attention to discipline and learn how to lean out. So the classic way to lift muscle, again, is this way. The typical zone for reps that are most likely to build muscle is between 6 to 20. And that number is based on, first of all, how long will a muscle work before it fatigues. So that's based on muscle fibers. Now I feel that it's so stupid to even think about muscle fibers and what should you build or what should you train, because when it comes to what I do, there is no such thing as one way to do it. Because I'm not doing this for a sport. I'm not doing this to lift and go to a meet. I don't care how much weight I work. I never, because to me, since I don't compete about it, my body doesn't know what is that number on the scale weight. How much is this? Because I rely on my biofeedback. I rely on knowing what it feels like to train and what it feels like to load it, and when I get muscle fatigue and how I keep up, because that comes to experience. But if I were new and we're gonna do my training now and I see my light weights and I don't know what is going on, of course I would be terrified, because all over I would read and keep on reading about the old guard who keep on saying, well, lift heavy and hard, because they're right, that's how to do it, but you can't do it beyond a certain amount. And if you have more experience than a few years, you're gonna notice that you're just getting stuck. You need to have more variety, you need periodization. So even if you love heavy and hard, you need to periodize it with time that is less intense. Or you're just going to break down more and more. And most of us do, until we realize that we have to change. And I did, so I'm happy about that. But I wouldn't have if I wasn't stuck with, I either want to keep on building or I can just say no, and I'm just going to kind of just be happy with that. And here's the thing, I'm happy with what I got. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to strive, because the striving is the whole fun, the desire for more. And also there's no expectation or pressure, because for me, this is like my enjoyment. Like what is the worst thing that can happen? I'm not gonna make more muscle, but I'm gonna have fun in the process. I think that's a great thing. If the worst thing that can happen is I'm just not gonna have the muscle that I want to build, well, I was trying and enjoying the whole time there, and that's the point. The whole journey is what I'm about. I am training and enjoying and learning and finding ways that can help so many people, because for me it's more important to learn than it is to be made. And for me, made would be when I'm done and I'm bored and I'm just gonna, wait, what? Then here you realize that you sit on this mindset of human nature in Western classic philosophy conditioning, that we have this one way forward, and the end of the thing we think is going to be achieved something, and we forget that's death. So we completely just live our life to somehow hope to see what we've done, and then we wonder what. So about this muscle building, that it's like, where do you even start? Because I have to get moving to my next phase here, so let me find my way. It's the bench stretches. I am very systematic. Because when you think about it, if you go really into the philosophy, you're gonna notice you come to the same conundrum, the same catch-22 as I did when I first started, when I realized, how do you build muscle and burn fat at the same time? And you're also strong and energized, and you're also not hangry, and then you have no cravings. How do you do that? And then that was my kind of conundrum for many years. And I really thought, I'm gonna solve it. It just became the typical routine of no matter what I do, I cannot do it optimal. I can't build muscle and burn fat at the same time because something has to give. I can't lean out and at the same time, eat up to fuel at the same time, something's gotta give. I can't train everything for all kind of specific sports because the body needs specificity. And I also know I'm a gym rat, so for me all rules don't apply, because for me it's whatever works. And that is what I love, the freedom of, there are no set rules you can only obey. You can make your own and break them all, and that's what I do. So with me, you really have to get into this kind of freedom feeling and freedom thinking, because I'm not holding on to the old dogma with training. Yeah, I know that's what we do. That's why I give you those books with the classic way, then you do it, and then you're gonna come to me later and notice, well, it doesn't last forever. Like, no, bingo, that's why I train the way I do. And the more you can open up your mind, the more potential you're gonna see, and also it's gonna be more fun. Because imagine now, if you keep on insisting on doing the same thing everyone's been doing for many, many years, and that is very limiting. Now think about that, you're going to do that forever and you're not going to make any further change. How is that going to call your name to the gym and train and train? It's more fun and motivating when you do notice changes in strength, changes in muscle, changes in form and feelings and everything, mobility, and how everything just changes when you stop having shitty form. And how everything evolves when you realize that the biggest changes you're going to notice is all about the nutrition based on you training and applying nutrition at the same time. So the same thing of eating and training together, practice, boom. That's the lifestyle you're challenging to work, and the whole solution is to keep on practicing. So think about that there are endless ways to train. There are endless ways to hit it, to burn fat and to build muscle, to be energized and mobile, and to take care of your body and enjoy the time, to have a stress release, to learn, to take care of your body. It does not have to be the way you see everyone else is doing. It does not have to be traditional dogma. It doesn't have to be what's being kind of shown that this is how it works. Because why do you have to sit on guarantees that you're not going to want to do it anyway? Remember how many times you tried to do the same program and restarting and to build, and then you just fall off anyway. And here is to kind of surprise. You know it takes about 6 weeks before you have even made any change in from nerves adapt, and then you're going to grow. It's a slow thing. So you even quit before you have even started building muscle. And here you say you want to build muscle. But you keep on quitting because the work is not fun, it's too hard, you break down, and you don't want to accept that, hey, You can gain it all, but you gotta give up on all these insecurities that you think that small weights or high reps make you skinny and scrawny. But you will end up there in muscle size if you don't learn to behave as an adult and grow and see, can I be smart and actually realize that I can do a lot more if I just use my brain intelligence instead of holding on to the fears? If so, you're gonna love my community, because I'm all about that, going against the everything else that conforms, going against people who say they can only do this, going against everything that's been put. For instance, today I saw just something in the feed on Instagram that was about, can you digest 25 gram protein? I'm like, dude, are you still talking about this? I mean, it's been 10 years, the same message about how people want to talk about how to keep it simple. And then they don't realize that those people who keep on saying simple are the ones who keep on having cheat days and starting over, because it's so easy to say keep it simple, and then you realize that simplicity is a very complicated concept for humanity. It's just not working for the rational mind that needs everything really complicated to think it makes sense. So a lot in bodybuilding training is not going to make sense if you use your intellectual processing machine. Because you're going to notice that no matter what, it does not make sense to your ego, and you're going to wonder, why do I do it? And every time you get in those little fights with yourself, guess what we're going to do? Chips and pizza and start over. It's not working anywhere, so screw it, I quit. You're not going to get anything out of that, and you're just going to have all to get fatter and fatter because those quit moments are too many, and you're going to be handed your ass to you in fitness life if you don't learn to humble yourself. So see it for what I want. I love what I do. I can't do what I used to love to do. I'm so happy I can't do what I love to do, because this is a whole new chapter for me. It's also unexamined. There are not many people who do it unless they kind of just have the body. They don't have the body anymore. So now they kind of tell everyone else it's okay to not train as hard. Yeah, of course, when you're fat and don't look even lean anymore, why would you tell everyone else to do that? Misery wants company. And I'm not like that, because I love what I do, and I also want to enable people to find a way. So think about this. If you have all the reasons to just see that find the way to train that makes you happy is the number one thing to do, just like your nutrition. Because it does not matter how much is building muscle for you, or how hard it is, how heavy it is, or how functional, how typical, or how this does it. Because if you're not doing it, how many books do you think you're gonna need before you know that they're not building the muscle for you? So with me, you live life and it hasn't been checked, is this actually something that we can believe is 100%? But I have the passion, and I love being who walks the talk before it's being written about. I love to be the one who live with no guarantee in fitness life, because I'm not gonna do what has been proven. Because it's a boring way to live, and it's a very limiting, and I'm not interested to think about this. The only way I would hold on to something, or you would be to not be ridiculed or shamed or be looking like I'm weaker, that somehow I would have insecurities, I wouldn't be as tough or strong, I would fail at my ambition, you know? And that for me is like, so what? That's a really good lesson. I will come back with that, hey, I tried, I loved it, but hey, it might not be the best thing, but I really enjoyed it. That's the way. Because when it comes down to it, the way to enjoy fitness life is how you understand life. If you don't enjoy it, you're not gonna like my place, because I can't handle people grumpy about things that I feel is privilege. So see you in the FTA. Tomorrow is muscle building lesson number 2.